Hello, welcome back. Today I will talk about the book King Paimon. It is, as I've said, a subject that preoccupies me. Of course, King Paimon does represent, first and foremost, a book, but King Paimon, as he is, it is a very interesting aspect of the thought towards King Paimon, of the memory of King Paimon. So the aspect of King Paimon is very front situated. No, so Paimon always sits in the middle, or Paimon always appears, no, in a certain position. So even the position where he is, it speaks a lot about that moment of apparition of King Paimon. Say nothing is random with King Paimon. Nothing is left unseen, in the meaning that King Paimon has already thought of it. King Paimon has already found a solution. King Paimon already has the answers. And say, well, from where does King Paimon have that? And say, well, it is a form of the element of all the elements that are combined, no? And all the different layers that represent him combined, and still the element of King Paimon remains unknown. Say, well, one can try as much as possible to get to the subject or to the deeper understanding of who King Paimon is, but as I've said, King Paimon says it is a road that one can travel, but at the same time, by the fact that King Paimon is far into the future, it is not possible to reach that more time has passed, no? So there is the element of the time. And so either he is in very deep past, no, or in very far future. And it has to do with his journey through time, through the elements of that are represented in his persona or in his character. And say all the elements combined sing a certain melody or sing a certain song. King Paimon is always accompanied by music or by different sounds made by musical instruments. And he too uses musical instruments as well. So the element of music is important in the aspect of one of the aspects of King Paimon, and then is the aspect of the past, of the history that carries, of course, a lot of weight, a lot of remembrance towards King Paimon and who he is, and that appears in the book through the recount of different characters that have met King Paimon. And through those expressions, no, say one can, of course, understand even more of who King Paimon is, but the role, say, it is not cannot be fulfilled. The task cannot be fulfilled because it is still developing, and it is, say, a time lapse or a time has passed. And the book, of course, speaks about King Paimon and his representation of the kingship or the craftsmanship or the knowledge or the wisdom or the silence or the wind, the void or the darker elements of King Paimon, his robes, and the fact that sometimes he shows himself, sometimes not. No, say one can feel his presence, sometimes one not, or one can, or he can appear, or he can talk. In the book, it moves through this aspect. Sometimes he talks, sometimes he's there, but the story develops too in a certain rhythmus that, of course, speaks to King Paimon back. And because it has to do with time, of course, journey, time, travel, no, or the travel through time is a big part of King Paimon as well. he travels in the book through the desert. Say, well, that is his land as well. No, say King Paimon offered the land to the people, and he traversed that land for the people. So he is a true king in helping and being there for his people. King Paimon does not have need of more from anyone. No, and say, well, he has enough to give, and that's the a grandiose gesture of King Paimon. Say the act of giving is the act of releasing. It is the act of accepting. Is the act of forgiving, or is the act of moving as well. As I say, through the desert, through this travel. And that silence, or that moment where he does not speak, it is very necessary for King Paimon. And say, King Paimon represents the word, in the same time he represents the silence. He has both characters, both of these deep elements rooted inside of him. They say, well, once it's the time, but it's the past. There is a misunderstanding or a misspelling or something. You say, well, one has to move from the word to the silence as well to come back again to the word. King Paimon understands the need of the silence, of that period, of that element of the moving through time, which it feels silent. It is silent. We don't see time. We don't feel it. It passes through without us knowing, no? And it makes me think of a watch or a clock and say, well, King Paimon does to carry this type of discoveries as well. He is a genius in that matter as well. The element of the time, of the watch, of the clock. So the aspect of the desert carries the element of the sand, of the sun, of the east, of the west. You say, well, these two, east and west, no? It is a trajectory from east to the west, or from the west to the east, but the west represents the place from where the wind comes. It comes from the west. And the geographical part of the place where the book resides, or where King Paimon transverse, is the desert, that it is in the Arabic Peninsula, that moves through different villages, the villages of the desert, of simple temples or very beautiful temples, of you see people with their camels, you see markets, you see the temple built in the desert. It is a very big temple with big stones, very, very big, with the entrance open, and it looks very futuristic, even if, you know, say, well, it is in the future, is it in the past? It's difficult to situate it, to know for sure. It could be in the future as well, or it could be in the past. The geographical changes represents to the transverse of time that King Paimon is witness as well. So he knows that element of time, that it is something that changes the environment, or changes the time leaves changes as well. And he travels on his dromedary through the desert, accompanied by his entourage. So King Paimon always travels, never alone, he always travels with his entourage. And the desert does give him that silence. Say, well, it is not only simple silence. In the desert, for and foremost, it is very silent, and you can see the sky very clear, like vibrant, no? So even the black of the sky, it turns into a deep crimson blue, where one sees the stars, where one sees that element of the silence connected to the realm of King Paimon. Say, well, King Paimon knows where his house is or where he resides, and he understands that the travel, it is part of his journey, of him trying to reach back home. So the stars guide him, and the stars give him the answers that he needs, because he is searching or looking for his home. And so the silence transforms itself in a deep silent conversation with the stars. Paimon does take the time of the silence, no? If he is not asked or rarely talks, it is mostly expressed through silence. And then, of course, the power when he talks, because it comes from that silence, it carries a lot of weight, a lot of depth, a lot of wisdom. And the book is called King Paimon, Lord of the Endless Silence, the Lord of the Abyss. It is found on Amazon, and this is recording part of a larger playlist where I talk about the book. I'm the author of this grimoire. It is a grimoire written in verse that goes over 700 pages and tells the story of King Paimon, or a part of his story. For me, it is interesting to do recordings in the meaning of me meditating on the subjects or the things that King Paimon has already taught me or I have seen, or trying to get new understandings to those thematics as well. They say one cannot find only in the search, so there is the element of, well, the silence will not give you the answers where you expected. The silence cannot be forced. So it is not to say an automatic reaction, well, it is silence, I know this. No. Silence takes its time. Silence is connected to time as well. The time is silent. Silence is time in a way or another. And I think the element of music is something that Paimon really loves, maybe sometimes even more than words, because music, it plays with time, it plays with the silence, it brings something that is between silence and the word, and it is created on sound or created on different instruments, no? So even the instruments have a meaning of the wind instruments or the different instruments that he likes to play as well. It is a form of child or playfulness that shows the young spirit of King Paimon as well. And the desert is, we say, finally an oasis, no? That's what the desert is. It is an oasis, and it is the territory of King Paimon as well. King Paimon knows this place. King Paimon has traversed the desert many times, so it is nothing new. He travels, and say he has been in those places, maybe not once, but more than once. No, so there is a repetition. At the same time, say, well, the time changes. If I come back to the same place, it's not going to be the same. I say, well, that time where he went in that market, it was not the same, because he met the girl, the woman, it was in the market, and that changed his trajectory, that changed his travel throughout the deserts together with her. And the element of change came with the element of the wind and the element of the air, because it was very fast, almost predicted in some way or another, or not. And say, interesting how nature works, or nature has its own whispers in that silence. The wind does carry, it is a poetic form of movement, no? And it affects, let's say, the wind already creates the atmosphere, and the sands as well. the golden sands or the white sand, say, well, it is more actually white, but golden in the light of the sun, is a environment that King Paimon understands and has seen maybe different times in a different way or form. But say, well, the desert doesn't change as much. It does change through the wind, but it is very slow. It's a slower process. What is around the desert or the different markets and so on, they too remain there. No, it is a longer process as well. And there is a familiarity. There is a knowing, no, that King Paimon carries, that is felt, and that knowing or that familiarity, it has its purpose or it has its reasons as well. King Paimon is not only a traveler, no, you say, well, he knows from where he comes and he knows where he goes. He is very much looking to the horizon, very much looking towards reaching, no, or transversing the desert. And the book is almost like a story that is created around King Paimon, and the story develops. Now it starts with King Paimon talking, but then it develops in a different type of story. It's almost to say even the wind has softened the pages, even the wind or the water has brought its elements into the book, and it softened. It has created a space or a silence, as the silence in the desert or as the silence in the wind, that gave Paimon the answers. And he's able to read that. He's able to understand that the sand or the movement of the wind does carry a certain scent or a certain meaning or a certain change as well. Other aspects of the Andromedare is that Paimon always rides on his camel or Andromedare, which is a larger camel, and it is the element of the sand and of the water. The environment connects itself through that symbolic meaning of the animal as well. And it already tells what the story will be, or it already tells what the journey will be. No, it will be through the desert. And there is, of course, a lot of different symbolic meaning that one can address, or say the colors in the market are important. I see like vibrant red or orange or green or blue or yellow. The colors too move with the wind. The colors too created vibrance, especially in the sun. The blue is even more intense. The light element of two enters, no, and it is part of the beginning of the journey through the desert. The temple is more a shadow place. It is a place of the stone, the coldness of the stone, with a big arch. It's a large entrance, very high, and then paved throughout itself. Now paved. It is, as I've said, made of stone. It is cold. It does bring shadow. It does bring relief. It does bring a stop or a pass. Everyone will pass through there. So it can be either entrance or some type of, it's the liminal space. Things change from here. We see once the Paimon is outside, almost at the entrance of the temple, or him coming out from that, and the girl was at the entrance. So it's like two opposite roads intersect in a parallel way, almost, through a glimpse, through a glance, through the sound of music that the girl was playing, that attracted the attention or the ear or the sound of that silence or the wind that was carrying these messages towards him, to make him stop and talk with her. And the element of the question, what are you doing here, child of earth, or what are you playing, who taught you that melody. It is a interest for King Paimon to know, because it is something he says that it's impossible that somebody has taught you that. From where have you learned? And the girl responds, I didn't learn, I played it now. It came through that, say, it is not rehearsed. And I wanted to say that it was a question that he wanted to hear her voice, to say, well, the moment of apparition, or the moment of the two voices, no, that both come, one from the silence, one from the music, transverse those two spheres, or those two elements, and meet somewhere in the beginning or in the middle. And I think it's very beautiful, very soft type of understanding, that it is not expressed in words, it is expressed towards in a feeling that remains inside the heart. The heart speaks for itself for that special moment that seems so perfect, or seems so almost not directed. No, it is a natural, unexpected, spontaneous meeting. So it was sehr unerwartet in German, nicht gewartet. So one was not hoping, or was not thinking of that. So we have the element of new, which represents King Paimon as well. So there is always the element of new. And travel they do after in the desert together, of course. It does bring more word. It does put away from that silence. But then the return is again into silence, into the place of the desert or of the night. They say, well, the ceremony between King Paimon and his bride, it is a celebration of all those elements that have brought them together. And the space of, say, well, one has to go towards the sea or towards the ocean. The travel takes longer than a few days, no? It's a few days or a week in the same repetition. Say, well, we transverse, we rest in the night, or we move in the night. So the importance of time as well as it goes through the story, but the focus is more on the dialogue between them two. It's the story between them talking or expressing through that silence as well certain type of understanding that they have found in the beginning. So they carry that element with them. I want to say, well, the flower is a memory, and if the flower dries out, I still take a petal and I dry it and I keep it. Now they say this is something special that Paimon wants to keep, or wants to